Ready?
Yeah.
In 3.
Yo, today we are at the Grov't. We are live on location, having a great time. Sponsored today by CraftMix. CraftMix is our newest product to the platform. If you want a powdered drink mix to add to any of your beverages, any of your alcoholic mocktails, you know, that NA, non-alcoholic option, this is the product for you. Easy to carry, lightweight, great product, great price point. You know, and just something that you're going to want to keep in your, you know, side purse, you know, on hand, just to make your refreshments that much more refreshing. You know what I'm saying? Well, we're going to start off with something really special because I'm feeling really lucky. We got the Pokémon 10 count. Of course, the Twilight Masquerade series. We're going to go right in. I'm chasing that full art, holo rare Greninja card. You know, everyone's been looking for. Man, we've been at this now for what, 3 weeks? 4 weeks? A month now. We're in real deep. And we just still haven't found it. We haven't found it. It's killing me. I really just want to get it. It's a full art Greninja holo rare. I mean, we've got like 90% of the pack of this deck. I don't even care about the back card anymore, or doing the whole burn it type of thing, which I just want to go right to it. Like, it's just killing me. I just want to get right to the holo rare in the back. But we got the basic energy, the Illumise. Our boy Applin, always making an appearance. Nose Pass. Seeking. Might Yena? Yeah, Might Yena? I don't even know what that is. Iron Bundle Future Card. Now, Dave, what's the deal with the future cards again? No idea.
Oh, yeah, those are new.
I think they time travel back. There are a future, yeah, it's something like that. Festival Grounds, this is new to me. It's a new card. It's rare to see one of these. The Secret Box, whoa, with that good texture. I like that. That's a nice trainer card. The Frogadier. Whoa, that's a new one for me too. And then lastly, here it is. Froslas. Oh, man, this is a bust. All right, well, you know what? Doesn't matter. We're going to hop right into it today. We're going to talk today about the government shutdown and how it's impacting consumer packaged goods, wholesale trading, and just exporting in general. I mean, off the bat, it's kind of obvious when the government shuts down. And we have precedent too. We can go back to, what was it, 2018, the last government shutdown, what happened, right? You know, it's kind of a shame because in some regard, like, you get what's going on. It's just politics being politics. And you got, you know, people using the tools they have to kind of get themselves an advantage at the polling booth, right? That's essentially what's going on with the shutdown. It's like, this is my opinion. If you don't agree with me, I'm going to shut down the government. And then I'm going to keep it shut down until we can come to a compromise, and then we're going to unlock, and then things will open up. But there's that in between where when things shut down and when things open up, which we're in right now, where you never know what's going to happen. And there are implications and negative implications that can happen and that do occur during this time period. So in 2018, one of the things that happened was you had the government shut down and you just had inefficiency drop. Now, what you got to keep in mind is that the rest of the world is still operating. It's like business as usual. Those governments in the 300 plus other countries across the planet, or was it 280 odd some countries, are all open and operating for the most part, with the exception of a couple key countries that are, you know, having some internal fighting of their own. But they're open and it's business as usual, and they're chugging along, seeing their GDPs rise. You know, in the US though, we're gonna see the GDP stall. Already forecasts for the quarter and for the year have dropped across the board. Now, amazingly, the economy is still booming up, you know, because the private sector hasn't really been impacted yet by the public sector getting locked down. It's only been about a week. So at the time of filming this. So you've got this private sector that's still chugging along, hasn't really seen the implications yet, but they will. And, you know, they're also riding that whole AI uptick. And thank God for technology, because the rest of the economy is piggybacking on the efficiencies that are being created. There's a lot of questions, too, about what's going to happen. You know, case in point, look at Sora 2. OpenAI's Sora 2 just came out last week, right? And overnight, you'd say like 20% of Hollywood now is wondering if they're going to have a job in the near future, right? It used to be, when we launched Grovara in 2010, it took 2 weeks for us to even have the concept of what our logos were going to look like. because I'm not a graphic designer, right? I had to hire a guy who then had to go give me some ideas. I then had to take his ideas and put them on the internet to like, you know, I forget what the name of the website even was, but they came back with like 40 freelance ideas, and I had to pick the one I liked, and then I mean, you're talking at the end of a month now, I might have a logo that I'm happy with. Versus now, I talk to my boy G-Man on ChatGPT, and I say, hey, I need a new logo. Here's your inspiration. Make it in the the style of Van Gogh, and boom, I got like 15 options right there in 30 seconds. So like you can imagine how like things are just moving so quick, and it's really hard for people to get their footing. But regardless, the efficiencies that the AI is creating, there's a lot of bullish activity here on people being aggressive and excited about the implications of this new tech. But if you take it back to what's happening in the public sector with everything being shut down, our boys at CraftMix want to go out and you know sell. Let's say Grovara gets them a deal in Australia. And now we need to get a certificate of free sale, apostilled by the Australian Embassy in DC, and we need to get all the different public documentation to get customs clearance and you know everything we need for registrations and the Australian FDA, EPA equivalents, approvals. What are we going to do? We can't do anything right now. You got to wait because everyone's on furlough or they're shut down. Right? You got the airlines now being impacted. So you got like the FAA that's having flight delays and cancellations because they don't have the right traffic controllers operating in the towers to get the aircraft coming in. So they're just canceling the flights. So imagine you got a huge business meeting. You're really excited. You've been planning this for 90 days. You live in Germany. You're going to fly to the US for that really big meeting. And then boom, your flight's canceled. And you're like, okay, all my meetings I had lined up for the week, I can't get to. You can imagine the issues that come when that happens. Now, the other thing that's a big issue is that you have, again, the rest of the world is still progressing. Case in point, look what happens, a direct impact on how the public sector can impact the private sector is it used to be that the Chinese, the China buyers who were like, you know, who are huge consumers of soybeans. You know, you would think they get their soybeans from China. They grow their own, right? Not the case. A significant portion of the soybeans across the planet are grown here in the US. Those soybeans now, because of the tariffs, are no longer being sold to China. And now, what are the Chinese doing? You think they stop consuming soy just because they can't get the soybeans from the US anymore? No. They look for other areas to get their soy. And now they're sourcing their soy from South America. So you got all the farmers here who had last year had, you know, set up everything to start growing to get the crop ready for the season. Now they go to harvest and they got all this soy inventory. And what are they doing with it? You got to find a way to keep it, you know, keep that business alive. And now you got to get the farm subsidies. And there's just so many issues. And these farmers who are not a sophisticated bunch, they got an easy lifestyle. They got their crop, you go to harvest, they go to market. That's usually how it's supposed to work. In this case now, the disruptions in the supply chain, the tariffs, the government shutdown, they're unable to procure the documentation, the farmers are getting impacted. But more importantly, and the bigger issue at large, the macroeconomic issue is the Chinese now are forging their relationships and setting up new supply chains for product in other countries. You know, in the short run, there's a lot of disruption, but then that's where the entrepreneurs step in. They come in, they set up the new supply chains, forge the new frontiers, do the setting up the new business relationships. And you think the Chinese are going to buy from the US again now that they have new supply chains set up with South American suppliers of soy? Maybe if the American product is that much superior to the product from South America, or maybe things get loosened up and we get moving again, and then maybe the product, the soy product in the US, those supply chains that were set up before, those relationships that took years to establish, were set up before, can then get kicked in, right? But we'll see what happens. So a little bit, I digressed here because you got the tariffs and the shutdown, but they're kind of one-on-one in some ways because, again, at the end of the day, it's showing the incompetency of the American businessman to do their business. And it's not saying that the American businessman's incompetent, but his tool deck, his tool sack and tool belt This tool belt isn't as strong as it was before, and now the business leaders across the planet are going elsewhere to create new supply chains and source their product from more stable economies. So again, from a macroeconomic level and vantage point, you're seeing this disruption that's coming in, that's creating a whole bunch of chaos within the global wholesale and trading economy. And it's our hope that things can get fixed and up and running, and it can be back to business as usual as quick as possible, so that we can get money flowing. The economy can be a true increase. The private sector and public sector can be one and one. So again, in the short run though, it's really just impacting us because again, the communication lines between the public sector and the private sector are broken. If I need a document apostilled, I can't get it. We're waiting to hear on the E-Award from the Commerce Department, Exporter of the Year essentially from the Commerce Department, straight from the White House. That decision looks like it's not going to be made this year. So even though we're a finalist for the E-Award, we have everything in for the E-Award, are we going to hear about it this year? Probably not, the way things are going. So that's kind of a buzzkill. And why is that important? It isn't just a feather in my cap. And I can be like, hey, not only are we Exporter of the Year by the SBA, but we won the E-Award straight from the White House, Exporter for the whole country. It's like the biggest honor I could ever have in this profession. And what good could come out of that? How many, I use these tools, again, for my tool belt, put that E-Award in my tool belt, I go to market, I got A, B, C, D credential, and maybe that E-Award would have made a buyer in another country make his decision that much easier, and then my deal flow could get moving that much faster, and now that is even accessible to me. So you got, obviously, the government shutdown, the tariffs aren't going anywhere, that's not even being talked about right now because everything's shut down. You can't get the documentation you need for procurement and fulfillment and supply chain issues. All the inspections. So if I want to ship a container of corn to another country, I got to get a phytosanitation certificate. It's a document that comes from the FDA or USDA, excuse me, that basically says that this product is okay to ship. There's no mites, there's no mice, there's no diseases or bacteria or fungus that's impacting this shipment. You have a good, clear, phytosanitation certificate for you to ride along, to have this document ride along with the document, so that when it does get into the customs in the other countries, it can clear the customs with ease. All this back end stuff that you need for fulfillment, that you need from the public sector to enable the business isn't happening. And I question what the long-term impact is going to be, not just from a dollar perspective, but from the U.S.'s positioning and standing on a global level. Now, I'm not saying we can't grow our business here in the U.S. It's forcing us to do more of the U.S. business. But then if you need to get let's say we have one of our brands, let's say CraftMix is opening a new factory, right? And they need to have a government inspector come into the factory and give it every check and clearance it needs to, start manufacturing product. They can't do that right now. Now, I'm just hypothetical because I really don't know what type of, public approvals are needed, but they definitely are real. So anyway, we'll see what happens. Stay tuned for more. Hopefully this doesn't last that much longer. And if you are being impacted by the government shutdown, let us know. We're curious. We want to know. If you enjoyed this podcast, check us out on YouTube, LinkedIn, or subscribe on Spotify or Apple. Like, comment, subscribe, and always go global here at Grovara.